Welcome to Advanced Tutorial of Order Processing. In this lesson, we will cover a complete in-depth fulfillment cycle, starting from customer placing order, all the way to purchasing raw materials for the production module. We will demonstrate in step-by-step of placing a complex order, issuing invoice, receiving payments, processing sales orders, purchasing raw materials, making payment to supplier, receiving materials, production of product, and finally, delivering finished goods. Before we begin our demonstrations, let me introduce the example company's product and service offer. This is a single unit of plastic locker. It is modular by design, comes in pre-assembled. The company also provides on-site installation for their customers. Typically, the sales of this plastic locker's quantity are depending on the required layout. Customization can be made towards the size, door colors, locking mechanism, and other accessories. To further understand how this product is being made, let us open up to each component for the product BOM. This is also known as bill of materials. The product is made up of these parts, with each part is assigned with SKU from inventory. The side board contains two of the same SKU. As for the base, it is only required one per column. For advanced configuration, Cloudby supports variable and optional parts. Therefore, multiple SKU can be entered into the BOM parts. These options can be accessed when a sales order is being created, streamlining the production process. For the first demonstration, we will start with a customer and the sales team. The customer buys a product, sales team allocate finished goods from the inventory, then ships to the customers. Now let us look into the sequence diagram. Customer sends a request for quotation. You will create a quotation based on customer requirements, and then sends an official quote back to the customer. The customer confirms the order by sending you a purchase order, which you will look up from the previous quotation, and converts into a sales order. You then raise an invoice for the customer to pay for the sale. As the customer made the payment, you create a receipt voucher, confirms for the payment clearance, and then sends back an official payment receipt. You process the order by allocating the available ready stock, and then raise a delivery order to the customer. At the warehouse, inventories will be picked and packed according to delivery order, and then ships to the customer. We continue inside Cloudby ERP system. Let's start from when the customer requested some medium and large lockers. You first need to reply with a quotation. Go to Sales. Quotation. Create quotation. Enter the customer company name. Say this is a new customer. Click on the Create New Customer. Fill in the customer company details. Create. Then we enter the person in charge name. Create a new person. Fills in the contact details. Create. So for the first entry, let's do medium locker. Product description. Set base to 4 lockers per column. Using 10 mm thickness. Select red door. Handle, set to cam lock. Quantity to 4. Selling price, 200. Next is large locker. Description. Base. 3 locker per column. 10 mm. Yellow door. Handle, cam lock. Quantity, 33. Price, 250. And our last item, transportation. Description. Price, 150. Setting the terms. Create. Advance the status to confirm. There. Your quotation is now ready. Click on the PDF to download, and send to your customer. You are done for the quotation part. When your customer is ready to purchase, load up this quotation, then create sales order. All the customer information and order items are copied from quotation. Sales order number is being auto-generated. You may change it should you wish to. Change the delivery address if necessary. Set the location of the fulfillment processing center. Attach the soft copy of customer purchase order, this is for better reference. Update. Then advance the status to confirm. To process this order, you need to allocate the stock to your customer. Invoices and payments. Delivery of the goods and services, and then complete the sales cycle. Let's start with issuing the full amount to the customer. Go to Processing tab. Billing tab. You have two options for issuing any invoice. The first option is to charge strictly based on quantity, progressively. Second is freely charge by any amount as desired. For our case, create an invoice as the full order amount. Raise invoice. And we follow to the newly created invoice. This new invoice has been automatically populated with all the details. Have a quick review. You need to set your receiving account. Update. Advance the status to confirm. Once this invoice is confirmed, the finance module will show up as receivable payments. Download the PDF document and send to your customer. When your customer makes the payment, you shall load up this invoice, click on Receive Payment. This will create a receipt voucher. The invoice is automatically selected for a knock-off. Change the received amount should you need to. Enters the payment details. It can be check number or transaction number. Attach the check soft copy. Update. Now, at this point, it is important for you to know that the check you've received may not have cleared yet. You need to keep track of your bank statement. Once the payment has been cleared, change the payment status to cleared. Set the clearance date according to the statement. This is for accounting purpose. Click Update. This payment transaction is completed. Download and send the receipt to your customer to acknowledge the payment. Okay. We have since received full payment from the customer, time to fulfill customer orders. Load up the sales order. Go to Processing tab. Allocate. This table shows all the inventory items needs to be delivered. The order quantity is shown as required here. Product variation details can be expanded here. The currently allocated quantity is 0. Pending for allocation is shown here. There are 3 ways to allocate stock. We can take ready stock, production to produce stock, or purchase stock from the supplier. But in this example, we will take from ready stock. You currently have 50 available stock for each of the product. Fill in the quantity accordingly. Click Reserve. Confirm. So now, the current allocated amount shows here. Since the reserved stock is a type of ready stock, the ready column shows the stocks that are ready for delivery. To continue, click on the Delivery tab. This delivery table displays both inventory and service items. Take note that, the product name may not necessarily be the same as the SKU name. Nor the order quantity always equals to the required quantity. So, we are to deliver 4 medium-size locker, 33 large locker, and transportation services. All or which is ready to be delivered. Let's raise a delivery order. Confirm. And follows. In the delivery order, All information and quantities are prepared automatically. You may specify additional instruction for any handling personnel. Update. Advance status to confirm. This delivery order has 3 stages. Download to print this delivery order for pick and pack process, and to deliver to the customer together with finished goods. After successful delivery, advance the status to complete. To finish, you need to close the order after everything is done. Return to sales order by clicking at this sales order icon. In your sales order, you have completed every stage. Change the status to complete. Well done. You have just experienced a complete fulfillment cycle, using ready stock. Now we look at the second scenario, assemble to order. The customer wants to buy products. However, there is no ready stock available that matches customer requirement. So the order goes to the production team to quickly assemble the product for the customer, and then ships to the customer. In the sequence diagram, once after the customer made the payment, you then supposed to allocate ready stock to the customer. However, this time there aren't any ready stock available. You need to raise a manufacturing order to get the production team to begin to assemble products for the customer. On the production side, the first step is to check for sufficient raw materials to be allocated. Once the raw material allocation has been satisfied, the manufacture order is to be split into smaller batches. The purpose of batch order is to size according to line capacity, and to optimize resources during the production run. Each of the batch cycles shall starts and finishes on schedule. This process converts raw materials to finished goods. The output finished goods are automatically reserves to the initial sales order. Upon completion, you can then continue to raise delivery order to the customer, just the same way as the first demonstration we did. In the Cloudby system, we were just satisfied with customer payment, and ready to proceed for the order fulfillment. This time we have 0 ready stock from our inventory. So rather than entering quantities under the reserve column, we instead enter into produce column. This raises a manufacture order for the production team to work on. The fulfillment process here will have to wait until the ready indicator increases, as the production team produces the item. In a later date where the ready quantity is sufficient to satisfy customer order, you shall proceed to raise delivery order and ships to customers. Let's take a closer look at the manufacturer order. A manufacturer order job is to produce the required items. Here you have the incremental production number, order date, completion due date, purpose. In general, the purpose can be manufacture on demand, or to manufacture for ready stock keeping. Any additional requirements can be stated here. Update. Advance the status to confirm. The first part of processing is to allocate the required parts, and then to split the work into batches. In the Parts Allocation tab, every part that is required to build the products is listed on this table. You have the SKU column here. Required quantity. Ready-to-use quantity. Allocated quantity here. Pending quantity. Each of the available parts on your inventory is shown here. We will take the parts from our inventory. Use the automatic fill tools to help you on the quantity. Let's reserve the pending amount plus 10% extra as a buffer. Reserve. As you can see, the ready-to-use quantity has increased. We move on to creating batches. A batch order produces a single product at once. Product variation details can be expanded here. As for our medium-size locker, 4 sets are being ordered, and 4 sets are still pending to be produced. Click on the Batch button. We shall raise a batch with standard locker assembly process route. Schedule to start immediately. Build 4 sets per batch. And create only 1 copies of this batch. Create. Follow. Inside this batch order, you will see the process production route. Stations involved. Assembly steps. Parts and quantity required for the work. If your facilities contain multiple stations for the same type of work, you may define which station to be used during the production process. Update. Advance the status to confirm. The batch order primarily works by registering the materials you have taken during the beginning of the work, and the output you have produced at the end of the session. This is to calculate the time and materials that have been consumed. The finance module can automatically work out the cost of goods, labor cost, wastage, and other efficiency metrics. How about we begin working on this batch order? We will take with 1 extra quantity as a buffer. In case if any parts being faulty during the production run, we wouldn't want to run around the warehouse to hunt for a single item. Update. Now you can begin the actual production work. Later when the production run is complete, count and fill in the excess quantity at the returned fields. Same goes with the output produced field. We recommend batch order forms to be printed before the work begins, so that workers can fill in the counts quickly. Once the job is done, re-entry the forms back into the system. At the Completion tab, a summary of the batch statistics is shown. Wastage is automatically calculated. Click at the complete job. Now we return to our manufacturing order. We still have 1 more product to produce. This time we will quickly walk through the same process. Create batch. Batch size of 33. 1 copy. Create. Setting the route settings. Confirm this batch. We take parts from the suggested quantities. Output produce to 33. Completing the job. Alright. The batches have been completed. Remember that we previously have allocated 10% more parts than we needed. We need to release the reservation back into the available pool. The excess quantities are shown in the Ready column. So at the Release column, click on Auto Fill. Excess. Then Release Inventory. To close this manufacturing order, go to Completion tab. Review the combined statistics. Complete order. The fulfillment team can now begin to deliver the finished goods to customer. Go to our sales order through the source document icon. Processing tab. The Ready column has increased in quantity produced by the manufacture order. You may continue the fulfillment process by raising delivery order, and so on. So now that you understand how to assemble to order, let us see what happens when there are insufficient raw materials to perform the assembly. Same goes, the customer wants to buy products, the production team gets activated to assemble the product. One quickly realize there is a need to obtain raw materials. The production team calls up the purchasing team, which then calls up the suppliers to obtain the materials. Once the material arrives, the production team can begin producing the product, and delivers to the customer. In the sequence diagram, let us zoom into the manufacturing order. The first step is to allocate materials from inventory, which in this case is unable to do so. To initiate a purchase requisition needs to be raised, specifying the quantities required. If everything proceeds accordingly, the required materials will be available for this manufacture order, as soon as purchase order is being processed. A purchase requisition specifies what is needed to be purchased. The team will source for relevant suppliers, and sends them RFQ. The suppliers returns with individual quotations. Upon selecting the most favorable supplier, the quotation is entered into Cloudby system. Then it is converted into purchase order, and sent to the supplier. In anticipation of purchased materials arrivals, a purchase receive is raised with the expecting receive date. This allows upstream manufacturing order to begin scheduling batch orders ahead of time. The supplier will issue an invoice for payment. You then create a purchase invoice, and made the payment. When the supplier finally delivers the purchased materials, you load up the purchase received document, to mark it as received. Once all are done, complete the purchase order. From this point on, the production team can begin producing the customer product, and delivers to the customer as usual. Let's revisit Cloudby once more. We just confirmed a manufacture order, currently needs to allocate parts for the production. This time around, there is insufficient plastic parts for production to work on. The cam lock parts are available. We shall allocate that first, to prevent it from being taken for other purposes. For our main plastic parts, we raise a purchase requisition form to initiate a purchase process. Then the purchasing team will take care of the process, until the required materials have obtained. Follow. Next, we change our role to become the purchasing team. The function of a purchasing department is to source, compare, negotiate, purchase, and to receive any product and services being requested by any department from the organization. Purchase requisition is the initiation of the purchasing process. It specifies the required items, preferred vendors, source document, delivery date, and the purpose. For inventory items, stock keeping unit is specified, along with a description, unit of measurement, and quantity. Some of the items purchased in the past may have been registered into the database, therefore Cloudby can automatically suggest a preferred vendor, and reference to the vendor SKU code automatically. Upon the quick review of this requisition, advance the status to confirm. The process of requisition begins with requesting quotation from vendors, receiving vendor quotation, placing a purchase order, receiving goods. Go to the Processing tab. In here, this is a tool to help you generate multiple documents with variable quantities. The requester may request a mixed bag of items. In reality, not all vendor sells everything requester need. So your job is to group the items into the appropriate category. Source the product and services from multiple vendors. Then raise RFQ for individual vendors accordingly. You may choose to skip RFQ and go straight into placing a purchase order. For this tutorial, we will do RFQ. Follow. In this quotation request, the system loads vendor information based on the preferred vendor. Change or create should you have to. Advance the status to confirmed. Download the RFQ and send it to the vendor. During this time, multiple vendors return quotation for your comparisons. Once the preferred quotation offer has been selected, click on the Receive Vendor Quotation button. In quotation received, fill in vendor quotation number, the price offered into the table. Make any changes if necessary. Attach the soft copy of the quotation. The importance of this data accuracy is that the information here is saved into the database. It can be referred for, and speed up future purchases. Advance the status to confirm. Raise purchase order. The purchase order has automatically filled in all the information. You may make any last-minute changes. Update. Advance the status to confirm. Download the PO and send to the vendor. The stages of any purchase order are: expecting delivery, receive delivery, payment, then complete. For any inventory item, it is important to obtain the expecting date. This will allow production and fulfillment team to allocate, or to schedule, ahead of time, for the items that are on its way. Therefore, raise a receive document. In the purchase receive document, enters the expecting date. Update. And advanced to confirm. Upon confirming a received document, the incoming quantity for inventory system will be increased. Processes may begin allocating for their own use. When the goods have finally arrived, print this document, and bring it to the receiving end for checking. You are required to fill in the vendor DO number. The accepted quantities. Attach the relevant document as a reference. Update. Advance status to received. Immediately after received, the physical inventory quantity has just increased. The production team can retrieve the items for work. Let us return to purchase order to finish up the remaining steps. By now you should also have received an invoice from the vendor. Click Raise Vendor Invoice. As usual, all information has been populated. Fill in the vendor invoice number. There is a column called Ledger. This is for accounting categorization. Select the appropriate category for our shipping fee. Enters payment instruction from the vendor. Attach a soft copy of vendor invoice. Update. Confirm. To pay for the invoice, click on the Make Payment. You may change the issue amount if you do not wish to pay in full this time. Perform the transaction or prepare the check. Enter the payment reference details. Attach a copy of your payment for references. Update. Once your payment has been cleared, change the payment status to complete. Specify the clearance date according to your bank statement. Click Update. Download the remittance advice and send it to your vendor. Return to purchase order to complete the order. All of the steps have been completed. Advance the status to complete. Also, remember to advance the purchase requisition status to complete. After that, the duty of the purchasing team is finally concluded. Throughout the same time, let's take a quick look at what will our production team observes right after the goods have been received. Here is the parts allocation table. The ready column is now showing up quantities that you can utilize. There are no more pending quantities needing to be allocated. Therefore, the batch order can begin scheduling for production. The process from here on is the same as our second tutorial. Congratulations, you have just learned an entire process of sales, fulfillment, production and procurement with Cloudby. Thank you for attending to this lesson. Join our Cloudby community and knowledge center to learn more tips and tricks.